mentioned are used for storytelling purposes and may be fictional or speculative. The opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not reflect those of Crumbs or its hosts. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy of any stories discussed, and we are not responsible for how this content is interpreted or used. This show contains vulgar language and sometimes graphic material. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Crumbs. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about food. We're going to be talking about some crazy stories and a little bit of everything. It's going to be cool. So get buckled in, and we'll get started here momentarily. Thanks if you're tuning in. Just wanted to shout out the link tree before we get started. This is the number one spot that you can go to choose our next adventure, choose the stories that we tell, share your recipes, get on the mailing list. If you're not able to make a show and you want to get on the mailing list, don't worry about it, Morgana. I'm straight yapping, and you actually just reminded me that I did not get the GD recipes that you submitted. So I'm gonna have to defer that to next week. But anywho. So, Linktree, you can choose our next adventure. You can share your stories. You can share your recipes like Morgana did that I don't have available. You can get on the mailing list so that whenever you do have to miss a show, like Morgana does, you're able to get all of the recipes, all of the user submissions, and you'll get a link to vote. There isn't a way to... Oh, couldn't you have put the link like in the description though? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I feel like you could maybe do that, but I don't know for sure. But if not, we'll figure that out. Maybe we can look at it tomorrow. But anywho, I've got some crazy recipes today. I don't know why I have been on spam kick. I never, up until my adult life, I never ate spam. I'd never tried spam. You know, growing up in the country, we had things like Viennese or Vienna sausages, if you call them that. We had things like potted meat. But spam was like a little bit too expensive, I think. But there's recipes that I brought today that are spam based. And maybe even a bologna-based recipe. So, don't fault me. I'm just bringing stuff that may look interesting. What's up, Landa? Welcome. Sorry I was out last week. I wasn't feeling well. I tried to... Twitter's being crazy again. I tried to post it on Twitter that I was going to be out, and it wasn't until like an hour later. It was like, oh, you can't tweet this right now. So, it's acting crazy. Yeah, I don't know, Morgana. The jury's still out on whether I like spam or not. I've only had it fried up like for breakfast, but these recipes I've got, well, the first one is calamari, and I've just never seen the preparation of calamari. So I threw this one in here. We will get to spam though. So when we get to it, you can decide whether you like the way it looks or not. I personally would try the recipe that we're going to watch, but we'll see. So this first one, calamari, maybe some of you, especially Morgana, closer to the water, have prepared this before. I've never, I have never prepared calamari. But let's see.
Squid back on the menu. The squid is prepared by making an incision at the base and taking off the outer membrane. This ensures the squid is nice and tender.
Who knew that squid had a membrane like it looked like what you pull off ribs?
then cut into rings and they are turned inside out and breaded in panko breadcrumbs. To make the sauce, we roast almonds in the oven. These are blitzed with roast red peppers and garlic. It's thickened with bread and seasoned with olive oil, sherry vinegar, and smoked paprika.
Why don't you eat squid, Landa?
This gives us a smoky and sweet, punchy sauce which pairs beautifully with the squid. Just before serving, we finish.
I mean, they do these. That might be the coolest looking calamari I've ever seen. Well, I take that back. New Orleans has some crazy looking calamari. The ones in New Orleans are like the whole little squids that are deep fried, but these almost look like onion rings. I would give these
with
a
a
run.
light dusting of smoked paprika, some fresh lime zest, and a wedge of lime. The calamari is very popular when it's on the menu.
It's calamari, Cecil. And thank you for being a friend. I'm going to body slam you the next time I see you. I was needing help a minute ago, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. I'll holler at you. Yeah, well, I've got a rule of thumb, Landa. I don't eat sea creatures if I'm not close to the sea. Like I'm not going to downtown Cincinnati to have oysters. That's how you get brain amoeba. Cecil, this is where I should call out Daryl Hinkle for you. If you want to do this, we could do it up. But yeah, calamari to start out. I'm starving to death right now, so I would totally eat that.
Now, a lot of people might disagree with.
Okay, we're still not the spam, but look at these effing taters. Now, there's a ton of stuff you can do with potatoes. This is a ton of effort also, but maybe worth it. Oddly, maybe worth it.
Now, a lot of people might disagree with me, but despite being one of the world's most popular vegetables, I truly do believe that potatoes are still undervalued. So today I thought I'd start a new show, just called Wild Shit I Can Do With Potatoes. And the premise is fairly simple to understand. I'll take potatoes, and I'll do the most extra bullshit that I can to them, to try and unlock the true potato power within. Today started by buying a special machine, which allowed me to turn the humble potato into sheets of paper. I then got together a mixture of lard, butter, and rosemary, which I delicately bathed each potato strip in, seasoning in between every few layers for maximum flavor. And I did do 3 layers of both potatoes and their sweeter cousins. The potato ribboning machine left me with a bunch of potato cores, and I'll admit that a lesser man might have thrown these away, but I was hungry and I knew that my true potato masterpiece wouldn't be ready until tomorrow. So I got together a sort of potato fondant tarte tatin, which inferior content creators would probably make a full video about. But today I was feeling generous, so it's bonus content. Once my potatoes were soft, they had to stay in the fridge overnight, just so that they could firm up enough for me to cut them evenly. Most food does indeed taste better when it's fried and on a stick, and the aim of this series is to be...
Look at that. So he has ribboned all of these potatoes. I mean, you've already got like 2 hours in these potatoes at this point. Yeah, it does. I mean, it looks amazing. The whole thing looks amazing.
As extra as possible. So that is exactly what I did. And to be honest, these were one of the most gorgeous things I've ever made. Listen to this. Normally this is where I do a taste test, but I already ate a whole one. One more bite won't hurt. I don't have to say anything. Goodbye. Miss Bagging. Goodbye. Now, a lot of people...
Wood smash. Those taters look great to me. Let's see. Okay. So tater recipe. Yeah, and you could do this in theory and not have to. He's using sweet potatoes like for the gradient effect that you have. But you could totally do this with regular potatoes and it be some kind of crazy. I'm sure it'd be nuts. It like the carnival taters on steroids. But I love taters too, Landa.
So I just took my most.
Still not to the spam. So the other day we had the jalapeno popper smash burger. Or the other week, I should say. This week, the same dude that we talk about every week, and I'm terrible about mentioning everybody's tags, but Alf's Kitchen, his whole channel is dedicated to smash burgers, which I personally love. but he's doing like a smash burger taco with the jalapeno popper smash burger recipe here. And I keep bringing these. I am being a spam tease, but I keep bringing these jalapeno popper smash burger recipes because they all look fantastic. Check this out.
Popular burger and turned it into a grilled smash burger taco. And this is honestly something I've been wanting to try for a long.
Okay. Sorry. How do you feel about putting the raw meat on the tortilla? I don't know how I feel about it. Tons of creators and tons of chefs are doing this right now because it got really popular in the last year or so. But to me, in my mind, and I know it's illogical, but it seems like the meat touching the tortilla wouldn't get like all the way cooked. I know it will, but it just seems weird. But yeah, I think I would smash the burgers, make the burgers, and then just put the smash burger on a taco and prepare it that way. But
long time. See, the big difference here is we're not going to cook these on a griddle like I normally would. I wanted to grill these up hot and fast on my Rectech X-Fire Pro to add some of that smoke and wood fire flavor to the tacos. But please make sure you don't make the same mistake I did with my test batch and oil the grates really well. 2 of the tacos in my first batch had more than half the jalapenos stick to the grates. But after just 2 minutes, these are ready to top off with some popper cream cheese and Midwest fresh bacon jam, so we can dive right into my new favorite way to make my buddy Brad smash burger tacos.
Doesn't that look insane?
Oh my God. That's actually insane. So I just took my most popular burger and turned it into a grilled.
I could eat like 6 of those easy. 6 easy. But yeah, I agree that I would probably do that a different way. There's something about raw meat on the tortilla that's freaking me out. I've always been freaked out by those recipes.
So I'm going to share with you how.
Still not. I must have, you know what? Maybe we're saving spam and bologna for the end. Maybe I opened them first, and that's why I thought they would be first. But this is chili relleno casserole. Don't make fun of my accent, Landa. You could say that better than me, but this looks amazing as well.
Today I'm going to share with you how to make everyone's favorite chile relleno casserole. Okay, so we're going to begin by roasting our 6 chile poblanos. So just place them.
I do like poblano peppers.
To get roasted all around. Okay, and once they're done, we can transfer them to a Ziploc bag, seal it, and allow the chiles to sweat. And while we wait, we're going to make our salsa. So to a saucepan, add 4 Roma tomatoes, a little piece of onion, chile serranos or jalapenos, I'm using 3, and chile de árbol, I'm using 4. Of course, depending on how spicy you want your salsa, it depends on how much you're going to add. Now we're just going to cover them with water, set it over high heat, and bring it to a boil. Okay, and once that's done, just transfer everything to the blender cup. To the blender cup, we're also going to add 2 garlic cloves, oregano, salt, and black pepper, and 1/4 of.
I think instead of boiling the vegetables here, I would have foiled them and put some oil and. Oh, that's true. That's true. I think that I would have foiled all the vegetables, put a little bit of oil or broth in the foil, and added. Maybe I wouldn't have added nothing. But I feel like roasting here would be way, way better and more flavorful than boiling. You should, Cecil. I would love a grilled cheese prep video.
A cup of water. Now just blend it too smooth. Great, and once we have our salsa, we can take it back to the stove. All right, now to the same saucepan over medium heat, we're going to heat up a little bit of oil. Once that's hot, we're going to add our salsa. And now we're just going to bring it to a simmer. Okay, once it comes to a simmer, taste it for salt and see if you need to adjust it. But now we're just going to reduce the heat to medium-low and allow it to continue simmering for about 5 minutes. Alrighty, so after 5 minutes, our salsa is done. So now we're just going to set it to the side until it's time to serve. Okay, now so at this point, our chiles should be ready. So now we're going to begin to peel them and prep them for our casserole. Alrighty, and once we have our peppers, now we can get ready to make our egg batter. Alright, now to make
it's
our
a
egg
lot
batter,
of effort with the peppers.
6 eggs and just separate the egg yolk from the egg whites.
This is a high effort recipe.
Alright, so now that we have our egg whites, we're just going to be beating them for 3 to 5 minutes until they're nice and fluffy. Alright, so after 3 minutes, my egg whites are done, and you're going to know that they're ready once you flip over your bowl and they don't fall down. So now we're just going to set those.
Well, even the egg separation is high effort. The whole thing's high effort so far.
A cup of milk or heavy cream, salt, black pepper, and baking powder, and 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. Now just mix it together until everything is well combined. Now we're going to grab our egg whites and carefully fold them into our egg yolk mixture.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so once we
thinking
have our egg batter, now we can get ready for the fun part.
3-hour
now
recipe
here you want to make
here.
sure that your oven's already preheating to 350 degrees. Okay, now grab your baking dish, lightly spray it with some oil, and I grab half of the egg batter, pour it in, and make sure to spray it nice and even. Okay, now layer it with your chile poblanos, add half of your cheese.
Good Lord,
Add another
I do
layer
love
of
the
chile
cheese.
poblanos. Okay, now add the rest of your egg batter. Top it with some more cheese. Okay, now we're going to take it to the oven and allow it to bake for 25 to 30 minutes. Alrighty guys, and after 30 minutes, my chile relleno casserole is done. So now we're just going to allow
Absolutely
it to rest
not.
for about 20
Get out of
minutes.
my
Alrighty
comments
guys,
section.
and after 20 minutes, we can now get ready to serve. Today I'm going to share with you how to make everyone's
Absolutely
favorite
not.
chile relleno casserole. Alright guys, so we're going to begin by roasting our 6 chile poblanos.
Okay.
Just place them
So,
on your comal.
that may turn out good. That may be a good recipe. This lady, Cooking Con Claudia on TikTok, she has a ton of recipes, Mexican oriented, ton of great recipes. This one, though, I would heed caution because I know she said 30 minutes to bake it out, but I'm going to say that this is probably a 3-hour recipe from beginning to end. Like if you want this for a Saturday breakfast, you're going to have to get up at 4:00 in the morning to make it. Is all I've got to say about that. But anywho, we creep closer to the legendary spam videos.
The tastiest
This is a high protein meal. The next one. And then I think the last 3 are probably like spam and bologna related. Yeah, exactly, Morgana. Easy 3-hour recipe. But this is garlic Parmesan chicken wraps. I always try to throw something healthy in here. Just in case you all are feeling like you're on a healthy kick or something. But
high protein, crispy garlic parmesan chicken wraps. Only 420 calories, packed with flavor, so easy, makes 10 high protein wraps all in one sheet pan and perfect for meal prep. Get your cubed chicken breast and thighs, add this simple seasoning mix with olive oil and lots of grated parmesan. Mix till you lose patience, then on low heat, add light butter with these seasonings. Toast this for a minute before adding evaporated milk, more parmesan, and light cream cheese. Stir continuously until smooth and creamy like this. Now spread the marinated chicken evenly, add cooking spray, then oven bake for 22 minutes until golden and crispy. While the chicken is still hot, add extra parmesan and parsley, then mix well. Finally, assemble the garlic parmesan chicken on low-carb tortilla wraps, lettuce, and that delicious creamy sauce, and your high protein.
it is what it is. But for 400 calories, 41 grams of protein, it's hard to beat the macros on this. It's not horrible, especially if this is your lunch. It's a good high protein lunch. I believe in my head that I can taste what this would taste like. It looks good. I'm sure it is good. You can make these for meal prep even, but this will be in your email too. This is halal Sam Fit. And the full recipe, I think, is in the description. So that's the case for most of these videos when you get them. Recipe will be in the description of the video. And now I think we've made it to like the super trashy recipes. So we go from 41 grams of protein to probably negative protein in this next one.
I think I finally found the perfect way to use spam on a smash burger.
It
With
is
a name
spam.
like Spam Jam, how could this stuff not be incredible? Perfect
It
way
is
to use
spam.
on a smash burger.
What do you think about spam smash burgers, though? Spam jam on a smash burger. I don't know about it.
And with a name like Spam Jam, how could this stuff not be incredible? I mean, it's basically a bacon jam, but I'm just going to swap out the bacon for Spam. And if you're like me and you've never really had Spam, don't let that stop you from trying this out. It's got a really nice salty ham-like flavor, and the texture is a lot like sausage. And because I want that Spam flavor to really shine, I'm using ingredients like black coffee that help lift it up. And we're also going to use some brown sugar, soy sauce, garlic powder, and black pepper before we kick that umami flavor up a touch with a little
That
Baron
W
Burton's
sauce, though.
And after we give it
If you haven't had that W sauce instead of regular Worcestershire, pick up that W sauce. It does have a huge kick of flavor, and they make a spicy one too. I don't know about the Spam jam though. I'm with you, Morgana. The Spam kind of has a weird taste to me.
good mix, we can toss the Spam back in, and we're going to let this cook down on medium-low heat with a little rice wine vinegar. And after about 30 minutes, we can stir in some scallions and furikake seasoning, and then we're all set to give this a try.
There's a place where you can submit that formally.
Now, I can already tell this is going to be amazing. I just hope my buddy Steph doesn't roast me too hard for this one. Oh my God. I wasn't 100% sure this was going to work, but that's insane. I think I finally found the...
Potted meat doesn't bother me, or the deviled ham, or even pickled bologna. But for whatever reason, whenever we had the Spam and eggs, the Spam just threw like a weird taste. Oh, well, that's probably why you didn't submit it. Cecil submitted a PB&J recipe in the comment section for anybody that wants to take a look. Crazy. Deviled ham is the same thing as potted meat, though. It's literally the same thing. It has the same taste. They're all in the same category as cat food. So that's the first Spam recipe.
I can't stop thinking about this man's Spam.
Straight smacking.
So I got a can and we're
This is one that I would try a bite of.
gonna make it. I started by cracking open the can, and I couldn't get mine to release out of the can in the fancy way that he did, so I just stabbed the top a couple times with my knife, and boom, it slid right out. Pro tip. Now, he used a mandolin, but I hate washing that thing if I can avoid it, so I'm using...
It was on screen briefly, Landa. Cecil's yapping on Facebook. Maybe on Morgana's Facebook.
my knife for that too. I laid him on a wire rack, then I wiped off my Spam knife and sliced up a jalapeno. I sprinkled on some brown sugar, then I tried to drizzle on the hot honey all pretty like he did. Then I popped on those sliced jalapenos and finished it off with a little Cajun seasoning. Now I popped them on the smoker at 300 degrees for about an hour and boom, candied Spam. It is sticky sweet and a little spicy, and if you gotta eat canned meat, this is the way to do it. Okay.
Yeah. I would take...
This is the way to do it.
I would eat a bite of it. I'm not sitting here and smashing the whole tray. But would I try this? Yes, because of the hot honey, the jalapenos, you got the seeds, so it's going to have some heat. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Spam in general. You wouldn't eat that, but you would eat other Spam, Landa. Is that what you're saying? Just to clarify.
The question isn't can we?
Okay. I already kind of spoiled it, but this isn't a hamburger bun.
We make a bologna bun. It's should we make a bologna bun? Now, what you're about to
So the bun on this sandwich is bologna. And this dude made it as a gag, but it has me wondering.
Can we make a bologna bun? It's should we make a bologna bun? Now, what you're about to see is some next level big backery. So if that frightens you, please turn away now. But if your curiosity got the best of you like it did me, then stick around and embrace the madness. Now, I'll admit, this started off as some rage bait, or stunt food as the kids call it. But holy shit, this might have been one of the best sandwiches I ever tried. See ya. The question isn't can we make a bologna bun?
A bologna bun chicken sandwich. And you get the recipe right here. This is a culinary line on TikTok, and you'll have this in your email, whether you want it or not. Y'all don't like fried bologna, though? Yeah, this is definitely a would try for sure.
Now, what you're about to...
You got the pickles, you got sauce, you got chicken. And then you get these massive, at any barbecue competition I've ever been to, you can get a big hunk of smoked bologna, and it's great. But this is like on a different level. You never know, Landa. You may try a bite and that's how you switch to an alternate dimension. But anywho, before we get into this week's topic, if you haven't already, go get on the spam mail list, on the mailing list, not for spam, but for me to spam your email box every week so that you're getting all of these recipes. Sometimes I just rant in the email, and I include all the stories so that if you're not able to make it, you're getting everything in one email every week, whether you want to sit here and yap with me or not. But yeah, I agree. That is years 3000 stuff. You can also, almost as importantly, choose our next adventure. I'm going to be changing some of these stories out, but you can vote every week on what you want to get into. And if it's tied, I'll roll the dice and we'll talk about one thing or another. So far, there's been tiebreakers every week. I haven't had to roll the dice. So continue voting. The voting link, you can go to linktree.com/cosmic crumbs with a 0. It's over here below my picture here. And I'll put it in the chat later. But go in here, vote on what you want to hear next. And this week's topic is when driving at night. Serious. When driving at night, what is the scariest, most unexplained thing that you have ever witnessed? Last time I had fried bologna. Yeah, well, there's so many nitrates and stuff in the bologna. You may just be sensitive to it now. They keep changing ingredients and stuff as well to, continue to make stuff as cheap as possible. But let me set up everything here to where I'm going to be able to capture these as we go. Pull this bad boy over here. There's still places like where Cecil lives that do fried bologna sandwiches. Okay, so again, when driving at night, what is the scariest, most unexplained thing that you have ever seen? The first submitter on the thread. About 20 years ago, I was driving home from a late wedding DJ gig. I was driving south on a major interstate, which was relatively empty at 2:30 a.m. roundabout. At one point in the narrows, the retaining walls on each side get very high as the highway snakes underneath overpasses. Out of nowhere, a young woman jumped down from the retaining wall onto the highway directly in front of my car. I hit the brakes hard, came to a complete stop, and nearly slammed into her. She looked up, ran to my passenger door, and got in looking terrified. She looked between 16 and 20 years old, long blonde hair, and her clothes looked a little dirty. Not homeless dirty, but like she had fallen down a few times. I just need to call my mom, she said. I tried to calm her down, and began moving back down the highway, and behind me about 50 feet, I see another figure jump down onto the highway out of my rear view window. I didn't mention this to her, and she didn't look back to see the other person. I sped up and went about 4 or 5 exits south. She kept saying over and over again, I just need to call my mom. This was before most people had cell phones, so I told her that I would take her to one of the 24-hour grocery stores and she could call her mom. I asked her if she needed money for a payphone, what was wrong, etc. She said nothing other than, I just need to call my mom. I pulled up to the grocery store and stopped. She got out quickly, but not running, and then ducked into the grocery store. So he did pick her up? Wait. So I guess she gets into the car, and After she gets into the car, he sees something else jump down off the retaining wall while she's in the car. I thought he was getting robbed. But anywho, I pulled up to the grocery store and stopped. She got out quickly, but not running, then ducked into the grocery store. She didn't say a word to me or look back. I pulled into the gas station across the street, called 911, and told them the entire story. Let them know that the young woman inside the grocery store, or the young woman was inside the grocery store, and a description of her. I have no idea what happened. I don't know why she did that, what happened to her, who the figure was behind us on the highway, nothing. Really made me super uneasy. I think I did the right thing. I would have tried to do more, but she seemed really fragile emotionally and somewhat afraid of me. I'm a guy. So I wanted her to just be able to get to where she needed to be. First reply says, "Hey man, you definitely did the right thing. I hate to think what might have happened to her if you hadn't helped." So what do you think about that? Do you think that this lady was getting chased and that's why she jumped down? Or do you think that it was maybe a robbery set up and he just left before he could get robbed? That was my first thought, is that it was like a setup to rob the OP on that. But anywho, the next story. The Real Meat Man is the name of this poster. So I'm excited. The Real Meat Man. Something definitely could have been after her. Yeah, I feel like it was the more I think about it, I guess if it was a robbery, she would have tried to keep him there long enough for the figure in the back to make it to the car. But, it was before cell phones, and that kind of stuff probably wasn't as common. But anywho, so the Real Meat Man was driving with some friends around 2 a.m., rainy, cold night, along a winding section of road with a steep drop off to the river below on one side. We pass a small pull off and notice a car with no lights on. As we drive by, we catch a glimpse of a person standing next to it. And as the headlights hit him, we see his shirt is covered in blood all down the front. We don't stop, but turn around and drive back slowly. I roll down my window as we approach, and he just stands there, blood all over his shirt and pants. This could be Cecil. His car looks fine. Couldn't have been a crash. Out of the window, I asked if he's okay. And over the pounding rain and the roar of the river below, I hear the most distant and sorrow, "I'm fine." Gave me chills. I don't reply and slowly drive off as my buddy calls the cops. About a half an hour later, we drive by again, and there's an ambulance and a couple cruisers. Turns out the guy had slit his wrists and was going to jump off into the river. Cold, rainy, and pitch black. Scary where your mind can take you. That's wild. Then the first person said, at least he was alive. My parents went to drop my sister off at the airport around 5 a.m. and it was still dark out. I could see cars swerving around and trying to avoid something. All of a sudden, I see a leg flying. A leg not attached to a human. It's honestly the sickest thing I've ever seen. And all I could say was, is that a foot? That's crazy. It's dangerous out there, though, especially in populated areas. You just never know what you're going to see on the roads at night. But yeah, that one is a little freaky. Little freaky. There was a public park near my house. This poster's name's Fast Food 12, 8 years ago. Public park near my house, which gets pretty dark at night. I was driving home, tired and exhausted after midnight when I realized that someone had dragged all the garbage cans and other large items out into the middle of the road from to form a barricade of sorts. I'm not sure if it was just a lame prank or someone was waiting for a car to stop so that they could rob the person. I didn't bother to find out. There was just enough room for my small car to slip through. It's happened twice in the last few weeks, so I'm going to assume it's just teenagers being jerks. And I agree with the replier here. Call the police, especially if it's in a neighborhood. Let's see. Some of these are really short. Okay. Next story. A big cougar running next to my car, then for no reason decided to commit suicide and run under the side. I was sure it messed up my car and was terrified to get out and check. Eventually, my 18-year-old brain decided that I should check. It was dead, but looking back, that was really dumb of me. That's true. The real meat man, Landa. Yeah, this one is a love stain, but it seems like we've got a trend on the names anyway. But this person, that was really dumb to get out of the car, I think, to go see if the cougar was alive or not. Bad not to be wrong if it was still alive. The next poster is Tom Smith T24, again, 8 years ago. This story is one where I was the one unintentionally scared somebody. I was driving home from a friend's late one evening, probably around 3 a.m. The town I live in and grew up in has a reputation for being a racist area, thanks to a few high-profile incidents and a reasonable amount of racist idiots living/having lived here in the past. As I approached the town, I was going around a roundabout when a car joins, ignoring my right-of-way and cuts me off a bit. It was a bad bit of driving, but I'm reasonably good at not letting that get to me. What was mildly irritating, though, was given how keen the driver was to get out onto the roundabout in front of me. Then he drove about 5 miles an hour below the speed limit all the way into town. And like I said, it's late at night, and I just want to get out of bed. About a mile later, we reached Main Street of the town, which has many turnoffs, and I'm still sat behind them. They pick one of the quieter turnoffs, which is the one I usually use to get home. At the end of the street, they can go left or right and still end up at the other end of the housing estate. They choose right, which is where I need to go. Then they have a few turnoffs in both directions before hitting another main road. They choose the quietest turnoff, I presume, thinking I'm following them and want to see if I actually am, or whether I'm just making my way to the main road. Unfortunately for them, they've turned onto my road. They're crawling along at this point, obviously slightly worried. The driver probably thinks I'm still pissed about being cut off and following him for revenge. So they decide to pull back or to pull in and let me pass. They indicate and pull across the driveway, which just happened to be my driveway. I had to pull alongside them, open my passenger side window. The driver opened his, and there are 2 to 3 black teenagers in the car, all looking terrified. He said he was a white guy with short hair who had been following him and pulled up alongside them in a quiet estate that's known for being racist. The look of relief, you know what? If you live in a quiet estate that's known for being racist, maybe you shouldn't be have short hair, and look like the stigma. But that's neither here or there. The look of relief on his face when I said, "Sorry, mate, that's my driveway you're blocking there," was pretty hilarious. The poor kid was scared to death, but somehow, in trying to get rid of me, made a series of road choices that convinced him he was about to get murdered. Yeah, that's crazy. I bet they were terrified, but yeah, that's wild. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. There's a lot going on, is all I'm going to say about that one. The next poster, again, 8 years ago, Shriek 99. So they say, I've had something well, hang on. Okay, this seems like a pretty long one. Okay, The other one was just a comment, and I didn't realize it. Organic Egg Watt says, this woman was on the side of the road and asked me to come look at her car, which was parked in a large turnoff. I asked what was wrong, and she just kept saying to come look. I apologized and drove away, and she just stood there while I drove away. More weird than scary, but it was at night in the country, and I was alone. Edit, I'd also offered to call someone for her, but she said no. Someone replies to this with a huge story, though, and says, one night at around midnight a year ago, a man pulled in my driveway in an SUV. My driveway is quite large and loops around, and he parked his headlights, set the bright, and pointed it toward my front door. Front door was open with just a locked screen door between us. Since it was close to midnight and he parked so strangely, I grabbed one of my handguns before heading to the door to double check that it was locked. I considered closing the actual door, but if they were there to rob me, they already knew that I was home. Plus, they could just be in need of assistance, I thought. I sat my handgun down next to the front door close enough that I could grab it in under a second and out of view from the outside. A man suddenly steps out of the SUV, which caused the interior lights of the car to turn on, and through the bright lights, I could just barely see that he was not alone. The man approached the front door and greeted me. I asked why he was in front of my home, and he said he was looking for a friend's house. I advised he wasn't at the right place and that he should continue on down the road to find a residential area he was probably looking for. He said he came from that direction and reiterated that he was looking for a friend's house. He had a smartphone in his hand, so I suggested that he use it to call his friend for directions. He gave me an excuse about how his friend wouldn't pick up. So I suggested he type his friend's address into Google Maps and follow the directions to get there. He said that he tried that, but that he couldn't get it to work. He asked me to come outside of my house at midnight to help him try to get an address into Google Maps. I obviously refused and said, look, bud, it's almost midnight. I don't know you, and you're insistent that I unlock my door and come outside to help you with something that a toddler could do. He responded and said, hey, man, don't call the police. I'm a military vet, just need some help. So could you please come outside and help me? Now, I feel that I should state here that up to this point, the police had not been mentioned at all. Ding, ding, ding. Red flag, red flag. I put one hand on my gun before informing him that I would be calling the police and that he should leave before that happens. He started to protest, but I pulled out the gun and used the side of the barrel to close my door. I just wanted to show him that I was armed, but I didn't want things to escalate any further by pointing a gun at him. He fled while I called the cops, but nothing ever came of it. Then 6 months ago, my neighbor ran into a similar SUV situation, multiple men, only he was asleep when they showed up. A man rang his doorbell close to midnight. He got up, went to the door without really looking to see who was there. As soon as he did, a man that had been standing to the side of the door, out of sight, pointed a shotgun to his head and walked him back into his own house. He sat there for hours with a shotgun pointed at his head while multiple men robbed him. They didn't shoot him, but they did clean him out. He lost everything: jewelry, cash, credit cards, guns, TVs, computers, you name it. They even made him give them his PIN number, and he drove to go test it while the dude was still being held at gunpoint. I don't know for sure that they were the same people, but if you wanted to get someone into a position to pull that same maneuver at my house, knowing that the homeowner was watching, blinding them with the lights of an SUV, that would be a damn good way to do it. I bet it was the same people, especially if it was in close proximity. That's crazy. Man, some people are just bold. People should be more scared to do stuff like that. And it sounded like the gentleman had a gun. So, it's probably like mutually assured destruction was the only thing that kept them out, probably. Okay, we'll hit some short ones. While working one night, was called to attend a head-on car accident. This is from Boy from the Rat. So while working one night, was called to attend a head-on car accident with 3 people killed. The driver of one vehicle wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and the force of the impact had embedded his steering wheel into his forehead. His best friend was in the seat next to him and was unconscious and making the most and was conscious again, making the most horrific shrieks. We'll never forget that image or that sound. That's horrifying, actually. Absolutely terrible. I was driving home to work at 3 in the morning. I work at an airport, and I was in the middle lane doing about 70 miles an hour when a lady ran at my car in the middle of a highway, waving her arms. I swerved into the left lane so fast I couldn't believe that I didn't hit her later on. I would have stopped. I really would have, but something in her face didn't say I need help. It was more like I'm on a massive amount of drugs. When I got to my lot 10 minutes later, I called 911 and told them what happened. I never heard anything or saw anything in the papers, so I assumed that she wandered away. That's always dangerous. Even in the country where we grew up, there were people that would get hit on the interstate like this. So it does happen. And, drugs may or may not be a factor. Let's see. I thought I was driving into Silent Hill when the road looked like it was flaking off and blowing away, just Nebraska after a harvest, and dried husks were blowing away. Somebody replied and said, I had a similar experience. I was driving deep in the mountains to get to a retreat spot for my university club. I was the last to leave because I had to finish a few things at the university. I didn't see the tiny exit for the retreat site and kept driving deeper and deeper into the mountains. The fog kept becoming thicker also as I kept driving. Finally stopped at a massive stone bridge. The fog was rolling through, and it looked like some enormous ancient bridge to the underworld. There was no one else inside. I had no signal on my cell phone, got out of the car, and suddenly saw a handmade grave next to the bridge. I'm talking about a makeshift wooden cross and a different colored dirt where the grave was. Got freaked out, got back into the car, and when I tried driving, my tires slid for a few seconds on some gravel. In a panic state, I thought some demon got a hold of the car and kept me there. Finally drove off to the retreat site safely, but that place was just eerie. Next one, no interesting name, but we're still 8 years ago. We could read on this for another 3 years probably and not get through it. I was driving in Maine and there was a moose just hanging out on the highway. I just remember screaming and driving in the breakdown lane. I never realized how big a moose was. I also don't know why it was calmly standing there. Edit for answers below. Breakdown lane equals shoulder, or where you go on the right side of the road when your car breaks down. Well, I was wondering, I don't know. Blood's yapping. He got freaked out that he saw a moose. That's the description on that one. Okay. I had something creepy happen to me a few months ago. I was driving home after seeing a play with a friend of mine. So it was probably around 11:30 to 12. Also, I live in rural America, so there wasn't any street lamps or houses for the majority of the drive. I was driving over this bridge and saw a car sitting on the side of the road turned on. I wasn't really concerned about it because it's a common spot for cars to pull off, even if it was kind of late. As I passed the car, I looked in my rearview mirror and saw that they had pulled out behind me. Again, I didn't really think anything of it until they began to tailgate me hard. While that behavior isn't unheard of, it tends to be rare since the road is curvy and a hot spot for deer. I kept driving for a bit with this car right up on me, which caused me to feel frustrated, confused, and strangely paranoid. Then the car's headlights went out abruptly while I was nearing the end of the stretch of the road, completely surrounded by forests. This made me freak out because it was still super close behind me. Then the car sped up and went around, but almost immediately slowed down to a standstill in front of me. At this point, I was so afraid, so I sped up, went around the car, and drove way too fast to get home, and then sprinted inside and locked the door. I didn't notice the car around my house, but I still feel worrisome about the entire ordeal and wish I knew why someone would drive like this. Call the police if that ever happens. That's crazy. If you got somebody doing that to you, absolutely call the police. That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. This was a good thread to all the people that voted for this. This is an interesting thread. We should definitely come back to this. But I think I'm going to stop there for now. Just so that we don't waste too many of them. I agree, Landa, but even if it was just a prank, I still think like better safe than sorry at that point. I wouldn't go home if somebody was doing that to me. Because especially if you've got family and stuff at home, if they are nefarious, you don't want to bring them back to your loved ones. But for everyone that's hung out this long, thank you first and foremost. I'm going to drop the link tree in the chat, and you can go out to the link tree to choose our next adventure, share crazy stories with us, share recipes, and get on the mailing list. Even if you have to miss the show, I send everything out every week to everybody that signs up for the spam mail. And you can choose our next adventure by clicking the top button. Look at the topics. Once we get through a lot of these topics, I'll change it up. I'll change some stuff out. But go in here, see what sounds good to you, and vote on the next show topics. And it doesn't look like, for some reason, I may have to have you check the Facebook connections or something, Morgana. It doesn't look like I'm writing back to Facebook. Maybe it don't. I don't know. But anywho, linktree.com/cosmic crumbs. It's the O in cosmic is a 0. But thank you, everyone, for hanging out. And I will see you next week for some more recipes, some more stories, and just having some fun. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.